Having strong and big arms and wrists is the dream of many people, especially those involved in sports, physical activities, or simply wanting to improve their overall body strength. Well, you've come to the right place because I'm going to tell you how to achieve it quickly. I understand. Big and strong wrists and forearms look impressive. They look dominant. You look like a masculine man, right? But before that, is it possible for wrists to become bigger just like forearms? And what shapes your forearms? Well, I have bad news for you, my friend, because you can't actually significantly increase the size of your wrists. The reason is that most of what's there is bone. You have to understand that the size of the wrist is influenced by DNA factors and nutritional intake. There's not much you can do with your wrists because they have little muscle, apart from bone, tendons, and skin. To get truly bigger wrists, you need to be born with thicker bones, or you have to alter the structure of your forearms and hands, and neither of these options is feasible. So, what can you do? The way is simple. Focus on enlarging the forearm muscles themselves. Unlike your wrists, your forearms have more room for muscle growth. By training your forearms, you will also see some growth in your wrists. When trained properly, your forearms can grow quite large, and as a result, the actual size ratio between your forearms and wrists will become larger. But for men like you with small frames, there's a positive side. The smaller your original body frame, the more prominent your forearms will look, which ultimately gives you a bigger and rounder appearance. On the other hand, if you have very large bones, the muscles you build won't look as impressive. For example, let's consider a man named John Skywalker. Some of you may have heard of him, but before he started training, he looked like a stick with small bones. Then, every muscle he built made him look bigger, covering the small bones he had. So don't worry. I'll tell you how to build forearm muscles to make you look more flexible. You will also see some residual growth in your wrists and small muscles and tendons. So it's okay. Don't worry about it. Building strength and thickness in your forearms is a matter of finding the right exercises. So, it's actually not difficult. Week by week, you will see growth and increased muscle size. So, I will tell you about some of the best forearm exercises. And the last one I will share is the most effective in my opinion, and my favorite. So let's get started. Let's get into the exercises. But before that, it's important to know the anatomy of the forearms. Your forearms consist of 3 muscles: the wrist flexors, wrist extensors, and brachioradialis. Wrist flexors. The wrist flexors are located on the backside of the forearms. To activate this muscle group, you need to perform movements that involve repetition and slow contraction. Wrist extensors. The wrist extensors encompass the inner side of the forearms. Although your extensors are part of a larger muscle group, they can significantly change the shape of your entire forearms. Now that you have a solid understanding of forearm and wrist exercises, let's discuss the overall process to achieve larger wrists. The first exercise is wrist curls. Similar to bicep curls where you lift weights and the flexion occurs at the elbow joint, wrist curls occur at the wrist joint, completely targeting the forearms. This exercise will train the long flexor and short flexor muscles in your forearms. The second exercise is wrist squeeze. For this, you will need a small wrist grip device. You can find one at places like Target and Walmart, or you can purchase it online. It's very simple. You just need to use this device and squeeze it as much as possible until you feel a burning sensation and swelling in your forearms, until you can't do it anymore. This will train both the flexor muscles, brachioradialis, extensor carpi radialis muscles, and of course, your hand muscles. The third exercise is forearm twist. To do this, grab 2 dumbbells of moderate weight and stand with your arms shoulder-width apart, holding the weights by your sides. Then, rotate the weights back and forth while squeezing your forearms. This is a great exercise because the movement is slightly different for these forearm muscles. Instead of just compressing them like when doing curls, you're actually wringing out the muscles like a cloth with a twisting motion. So it provides a different sensation. This will activate the muscle fibers in a way that hasn't been done before. 3 sets of twisting, with 10 to 20 repetitions each, using weights around 25 or 30 pounds, are usually enough. Reverse curls. Stand with a dumbbell in each hand, arms by your sides, and palms facing backward. Lift the weights up to about chest height while keeping your elbows close to your body. Maintain the same palm orientation throughout the exercise. And that brings us to the final exercise I will share, and my personal favorite, which is the side curl. To perform this exercise, take 2 dumbbells with moderate weight, which you can do for a moderate number of repetitions, so perhaps around 25 or 30 pounds. Stand with your feet shoulder-width apart, and unlike a regular curl, hold the dumbbells with your thumbs facing upward, then lift them vertically in front of your body. This is highly effective because it not only trains your biceps, but primarily targets the brachioradialis, which is related to the forearm. The pump you get from this exercise is incredible, and when you do it, you will definitely see your brachioradialis muscles clearly. And just like any other muscle, the more frequently you train it, the bigger it will grow. And as I mentioned, these exercises will help with forearm muscle growth. You will see a slight growth in your wrists, but you will be very limited because genetics doesn't allow the joints to grow that much. That's why if you have small wrists, that's how it is. You can enlarge your calves, but not so much with your ankles. The same goes for your wrists. You can enlarge your forearms, but not so much with your wrists. But that's okay. It will still look great. So, I hope you enjoy this information. If you haven't already, subscribe, and until next time.